Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Dr. Adli. All right, today I would like to continue on the lecture, and specifically today I would actually explain about research methodology. So this is actually an important part in your thesis. Normally, people will use this chapter in chapter 3, but it depends. Sometimes you need to do two chapters for your literature review. Then probably you need to shift your chapter 3, okay, to chapter 4. So your research methodology will be in chapter 4. All right, and all right. So basically, I will just give some we call it some introduction about the what is actually research methodology is all about, because research methodology is actually you will see that this how you design your research methods is actually based on your what you call it, what you see about the reality of the world. So just bear with me for about 10 to 20 minutes for me to actually explain to you on research methodology consisting of ontology, epistemology, and then your research purpose, research approach, and I will actually conclude with the three different types of research methods that you can employ in your study. All right. Research methodology. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. Basically, the first thing that I would like to talk about here is actually is about your research paradigm. The first question that I will ask is actually, do you know what is your ontology? Okay, firstly, definitely you will say that what is ontology? In the first place, what is actually ontology? Ontology actually is from the Greek word. Greek is actually, they say that is how you see the reality, right? How you see the reality. And the question is that how do you see your reality? All right. So basically, when we talk about ontology, so people will actually look at the reality as from the objective side or maybe from the subjective side, right? So for me myself, I have my own ontology. Okay, my own ontology is the Islamic worldview, right? Because I see that the reality of the world is actually will depend on my beliefs. Okay, so my belief that I will be actually we call it will be judged in the not only in the world but also in the hereafter. So which means that dunya and also akhirah. So it's a bit different. So basically, when we talk about ontology, is that when as a researcher you will actually use your views of your reality, then you want to put it into your research. So the basic, we call it ontology, we have objectivism and also subjectivism, right? That is normal. So objectivism is that saying that, oh, this table is actually very is made of wood, it's hard, okay, it's hard, so it's actually objective. But when we look at subjectivism, probably will say that, oh, this table is being crafted by someone named Abu and so on. He is actually what call it a man who live in Kuala Lumpur and so on, right? So the idea is that how you see your reality, actually you want to put into your thesis, you want to put into your research. All right, so first we understand that ontology is how we see our own reality. All right, and then we have another word which is quite interesting, which is epistemology, right? Epistemology is actually simply stating that how you acquire the knowledge, right? So you have your reality just now, your ontology, and then how you want to acquire your knowledge. Okay, for example, here I've actually list out some of the epistemology. For example, positivist, post-positivist, critical realist, social constructionism, and many more. So, for example, if you are come from the objectivism, you will see that you will be more toward positivist and also post-positivist. So the answer is 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, right? But when we look at the social constructionism, which is more subjective to the far right hand side, which is stating that probably they will want to see it more deeper in terms of their we call it how they they want to acquire the knowledge. And as for myself, okay, how I acquire knowledge is actually I have a bit different from the Western perspective, because I'm looking knowledge is can be what call it, acquired from the revealed knowledge and also the acquired knowledge. So the acquired knowledge is basically the normal scientific ways of you acquiring knowledge, but the revealed knowledge is actually the knowledge that has been revealed by God, be revealed by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So basically, what some of our what call it Muslims they say that the revealed knowledge is actually the knowledge that has been given by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and it has been revealed in the Quran or in the Hadith, right? So basically, that is the revealed knowledge, right? Whereas for the acquired knowledge is actually the scientific knowledge. So you can actually do whatever scientific, what you call it, analysis for you to be able to get the knowledge. Okay, so basically, my epistemology is a bit different. So my epistemology is actually looking at the akli and also the nakli. Akli is acquired knowledge, and the nakli is actually the revealed knowledge. So it's a bit difficult to be used in the Western world, because for them it's actually when you are evaluating something, you are only evaluating the world, all right, not the other world, which is the hereafter, which is cannot be determined at the moment. But since my ontology is actually looking at the Islamic worldview, right, as my ontology, then how I acquire knowledge is actually based on the akli, the acquired knowledge, and also the revealed knowledge. So here I would like you to understand that you can choose any ontology, okay, which is suitable for you, and also you can actually design it for your epistemology. All right, and then we have the research purpose. Basically, when you do research, okay, there are 3 types of research. So purpose, so basically it's either you are trying to explore something new, or you want to describe something, okay, phenomenon, or you want to explain something, right? So basically, if you are doing your masters and also PhD, you are looking at these 2, which is exploratory or explanatory. Okay, it's actually a bit risky if you do your research and then it's actually only describing the phenomenon. So that is not a PhD thesis, right, or a master thesis. So basically, because you need to contribute something new. So when you want to contribute something new, right, you need to be either exploratory or explanatory, right? Try to avoid to be like too descriptive in your thesis, right? So do you know how your thesis is descriptive? It's actually describing something, not actually exploring, not actually explaining, right? Okay, that is for your research purpose. Probably you need to look at exploratory or explanatory, right? And this is an example of a continuum of philosophical position on the origin of knowledge. Now, we talk about ontology just now. So basically, when we talk about ontology, we have objectivism and also subjectivism, right? So I've mentioned before that, so when you are looking the world reality from the objectivism point of view, then your philosophy would be more toward empiricism, okay, common sense, logic, right? And then your view of reality is actually a physical construction of reality. And then your view of human nature is human homo sensus. And then the view of relevant method is actually by measurement, by measuring, by survey, by experimenting, and so on, right? And then when you go to the what you call it to the right, so you can look at them more towards subjectivism, right? So you go on the constructionism, you look at the Marxism, sociology of knowledge, right? Methodology, genetic structuralism, and the view of reality is looking at the social construction of reality. So we're looking at the social aspect, right? So when your view of human nature is homo socius, right? Homo socius. So basically looking at the society itself, right? The view of relevant method is by observing, documenting, okay, discussing, reconstructing, dialectics, and also materialism, right? And then you also have, this is what I am trying to look at, which is the Islamic worldview. Normally it's normative in nature, and then it's also synthesizing what is actually happening, right, by looking at the revealed and also the acquired knowledge. And then we look at the physical and spiritual, okay, unit of reality, right? So human is actually looking at human, okay, as the vicegerent or the Khalifa of God, right? So it can be quantitative and also can be qualitative or mixed, but it must be normative, right? Which means that when we say that it must be normative, is that you have to refer back to your revealed knowledge, which is the Quran, the Sunnah, okay, and also the Ijma and also the Qiyas, okay, which is the nucleus of the knowledge of Islamic knowledge. All right, then you have more towards the far right, which is more towards subjectivism. We have interpretism, subjectivism, rationalism, and so on. So these are more towards qualitative in nature, right? It's more qualitative in nature, right? So what you need to do now is that when you do your research, you need to find which is the most suitable ontology, and also the ontology, the epistemology must be suitable also with your ontology. Then only will you have see, because when you look at, for example, objectivism, the probably you will be choosing positivism or empiricism, right? But when you want to do your methods, so you cannot use interviews or qualitative methods, so you need to use quantitative methods, because sometimes, okay, it's a bit difficult for your epistemology, because the epistemology, how you acquire knowledge, is actually you need to actually align it with your methodology, right? Okay, so I hope you understand that. Okay, all right. So when we have that, so we have different type of methods. So basically you have quantitative methods, we have qualitative methods, and also we have mixed method. Mixed method is actually a combination of qualitative and also quantitative in your thesis. You are doing both, right? So even for me myself, I am actually comes from the mixed methods, we call it research. My PhD thesis was done using mixed methods. So I have the qualitative aspect of the study and also the quantitative aspect of the study. And just be to remind you that my ontology is the Islamic worldview, right? And my epistemology is the akli and nakli, how you acquire knowledge. And then my method is mixed method. So it must be aligned, the ontology, and then your epistemology, and then your methods. All right, and now we look at the three research approaches. So basically, if you are purely quantitative, normally you will use deductive approach, which is from the general ideas and theories, then you go for the particular situation. Whereas if you are coming purely from the qualitative approach, you will use like the reverse, which is looking at the particular situation, then only you generate ideas of theories. All right, and then for the abductive, which is a bit new because I'm using this is abductive, right? So from the general theories or the general ideas, so you have this particular situation, but you have to refer back to the theories or to the revealed knowledge. So this is a bit saying that this is normative, right? So you find this particular situation, then you refer back to your, let's say for me, Quran and Sunnah. So whether it's actually acceptable or not. So basically, these are the three research approach. It depends on your methodology. So if you are qualitative in nature, you go for inductive. If you are quantitative in nature, you go for deductive. If you are more towards the Islamic approach or mixed method, so probably you want to use the abductive. But even though you are mixed method, but you can also use deductive or inductive. All right. So with that, I thank you for listening to the a bit of introduction on research methodology. Um, I hope that you understand something, right? So basically, I'd just like to wrap up, okay, for this session. Ontology is actually how you see your reality, and then the epistemology is actually how you acquire the knowledge, all right? And then your methodology is actually what would be the methodology that you'll be using. For example, you want to use quantitative, right? You want to use qualitative, or you want to use mixed method. And then you will have the research, what you call it, purpose. So you want to go for exploratory, or you want to go for explanatory, or you want to go for descriptive. Okay, descriptive is more toward consulting work, so it's not a PhD or master's thesis research. All right, and then lastly is actually about the research approaches. So we will have deductive, we have inductive, okay, and also adaptive. All right, so with that, I thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.